Hey YouTubers, we're going to go over a TEH R31 tech tip today. These are going to be talking about replacing some parts on the stock chassis that seem to have some weak points in them. Let's take a look at our chassis itself. What we're going to talk about replacing today is the clips that hold this pulley, this pulley, this pulley, and also a part that's in this main drive pulley right here, axle. So here they are in actual size. This is the stock piece. In the manual itself, on page 13, this is a P3, P4 is the part number for these clips. And what happens is, usually this pin, plastic pin in here, snaps off and you lose power to those drive wheels. So what you're going to do is a super quick and super easy fix is to go get some O-rings like this. You can get these at your local hardware store in the plumbing department. They're not special, they're just a regular little O-ring, rubber O-ring. And here is a axle pin. You may have some of these extra axle pins laying around. So what you're going to do is, in the chassis itself, you're going to slide the metal pin through the pulley and through the axle, and then you're going to put your O-ring around that pulley and it holds that metal pin in place. So what you've basically done is replaced this with that. So you've gone from a plastic pin and C-clip to a solid metal pin and an O-ring to hold it in place. Super easy fix. Get you out of a jam if you break those pins. We all mostly run pretty high power brushless motors, so these little plastic pins don't stand a chance. And the other weak point we're going to talk about is these ball diffs that come stock on this chassis. Another thing, if you're running a high power motor, it seems to snap these like twigs. So what happens is, on a stock ball diff, is it seems like right in here where the bearing rides on here, it usually snaps this piece off because the dog bone is in there with pins through it, of course, and the torque and twisting action on that ball diff, it just can't take it and it snaps it off. The design itself is flawed. The recess is cut too far back into the diff itself, so it makes it too long and it makes it weak. So definitely got to replace these with one of these beauties right here. This is a one-way. Actually, it's from R2 Hobbies. You can get them from anywhere else, but as you can see, it's all metal. Has metal cups, not plastic anymore. And this is a one-way front drive for the car. One thing I've heard on the internet is people are ordering these one-ways, and they come with one of the bearings is oversized on one side. So what happens is that you don't get the one-way action. The actual drive cup goes both ways. So what happens is it can go frontwards and backwards. I fixed this one so it's locked. But what you need to do to fix these, if you order one that doesn't work from whatever manufacturer, is without the bearing being on there. I'm going to see if I can get one without the bearing on there. Hold on a second. Usually it's one side, not the other, that does it. But what you do is take a pair of pliers. You can even use some small vice grips and just basically squeeze this bearing very gently, go all the way around it. You're not trying to squeeze it to deform it. You're basically just going around and around slowly to shrink the bearing down slowly to where it will actually start to grip on your outdrive cup. And you'll know it once it starts fitting tight in there that you've got the bearing to the right size, and you can see that it's working now. This one actually wasn't working. I fixed a couple of these for people, and they're very thankful because it takes a long time to get these things in the mail. So there you go. So I've actually got a spare now. So this will be the replacement for your front. This is a R2 Hobbies one way. You can, I think Eagle Racing makes these also. Definitely get you a nice good one for the front of your car. And as you can see the difference in those two, the metal versus the plastic. You can ditch this, put this nice metal piece in there, and you'll be happy. And this is actually a solid spool rear. You run this in the rear of your car to replace this cheap plastic ball diff. What this does is you have your solid spool, and basically has the pulley itself has 3 screws that mount here, 1, 2, 3, and you just take your pulley, put it onto your solid spool, which as you can see is just basically a solid straight axle, and then it has 2 metal cups that go on the outside, have pins that go onto the outside, and you have a solid drive axle for the rear, which is what you want. Pick up your nice solid spool. You can get these on eBay, I think, but mostly I order off R2 Hobbies or Race Drift Japan for these solid spools and stuff like this, and one ways. I took the time to draw a big picture so you can see what I'm talking about on here. Since I know it's hard to see on my designs, but what we're dealing with it on the parts we're replacing is the main ball diff pulley, usually breaking off one of those right there, breaking this part off, and you end up with a pulley that's no good. Replace that with a nice metal piece, one way, either Eagle Racing or R2 Hobbies, it doesn't matter. And this is the P3, P4. There's a bit of glare on my over there. P3, P4 part. What's happening is snapping right here. Usually 9 times out of 10. Snaps right here. Got a problem with it being a drive. This is actually the front drive of the car. These are part numbers N4 and N5 in the instruction manual, which has a plastic pin on N4, and it usually breaks right in here. This is the actual axle itself, the drive axle that the pulley goes on. So what you can do is unsnap it apart. You know, it fits together like so. You unsnap it apart, put your metal pin through there, snap your pieces back together, and basically end up with a metal pin in between the 2 C pieces. It's like the 2 C pieces hold the pin in like that. So then you have the main axle going through, and it holds it all together nice and strong for you. So hopefully these bigger diagrams helped you out. I know it's kind of hard to see really small stuff that small on a camera, even an HD camera.